The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. A high-level delegation representing the United States Department of the Treasury and Department of State has arrived in Sri Lanka. PMB brand rice from Paddy Marketing Board will be released to the market from tomorrow. The Litro Gas Company says 2 ships will arrive in the country by the first week of the next month. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that it has increased fuel prices. Schools will reopen from tomorrow. The Department of Registration of Persons will issue digital ID cards to all Sri Lankan citizens under 15 years in the near future. In news overseas, Russia promises Belarus nuclear-capable missiles. Local stories in detail. A high-level delegation representing the United States Department of the Treasury and the Department of State has arrived in Sri Lanka. The U.S. Embassy in Colombo said yesterday the delegation will stay in the island from today till June 29th to explore the possibility of further U.S. assistance to Sri Lanka in the wake of the economic crisis. Members of the delegation include Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Asia, Robert Caproth, and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia, Ambassador Kelly Kadeling. The visitors will meet a wide range of political representatives, economists, and international organizations. In their meetings, they will explore the most effective ways for the U.S. to support Sri Lankans in need, Sri Lankans working to resolve the economic crisis, and Sri Lankans planning for a sustainable and inclusive economy for the future. PMB brand rice from the Paddy Marketing Board will be released to the market from tomorrow. Agriculture, Wildlife and Wildlife Conservation Minister Mahinda Amarabira instructed PMB Chairman Neil D. Alves to supply rice from paddy purchased from farmers by the board. Arrangements have been made to sell the rice under the brand name PMB Rice below the maximum retail price, the minister said. Accordingly, PMB Rice, manufactured and distributed by the Paddy Marketing Board, is scheduled to be sold to the public in Colombo, and the rice will be distributed in 5 and 10 kilogram bags. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that it has increased fuel prices with effect from 2 a.m. today. Accordingly, the price of octane 92 petrol has been increased by 50 rupees to 470 rupees per litre, while octane 95 petrol has been increased by 100 rupees to 550 per litre. Sipetco said that the price of auto diesel has been increased by 60 rupees to 460 rupees and super diesel has been increased by 75 rupees to 520 rupees per litre. Meanwhile, the Lanka IOC has also increased fuel prices as same as Sipetco prices. Meanwhile, All Ceylon Restaurant Owners Association says the price of a rice packet and all other food items will be increased by 10%. The prices will be increased due to the hike in fuel prices announced today. Chairman of the Litro Gas Company, Mudita Piri, says that 2 gas ships will arrive in the country by the first week of the next month. Another ship from Oman will bring 25,000 metric tons of LP gas, and it is scheduled to arrive in the country during the next month. The chairman says that upon the agreements reached at present, the government will be able to supply gas for the next 4 months. The Ministry of Education has decided to reopen schools from tomorrow. Schools in rural areas with zero transport issues that function from June 20th till 24th will continue as usual. Teachers with transportation issues should be given flexible timetables by the principals. City schools that were closed last week must reopen for academic activities on Tuesday Wednesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The Education Ministry stated that principals of city schools can decide on the functions of the primary grades. The schools must introduce online teaching, homework, and home-based practical sessions for the days that schools remain closed. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. A high-level delegation representing the United States Department of the Treasury and Department of State has arrived in Sri Lanka. PMB brand rice from the Paddy Marketing Board will be released to the market from tomorrow. The Litro Gas Company says 2 gas ships will arrive in the country by the first week of the next month. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that it has increased fuel prices. Schools will reopen from tomorrow. That ends the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatma.
And on the main news story, the Department of Registration of Persons will issue digital ID cards to all Sri Lankan citizens under 15 years in the near future. Commissioner General of Department of Registration of Persons, Vyani Gunathilaka, told media that around 1.7 million children would qualify this year for this digital ID card, which would contain fingerprints and the type of blood of the ID holder in addition to normal biodata. He said that the new program to issue digital ID cards will be implemented under an Indian aid scheme, and be issued these ID cards countrywide would be finalized within 1.5 years. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatma.
Moving on to Watchlight. The Government Medical Officers Association Media Committee member Dr. Prasad Kolumbage said that with the current economic crisis situation in the country, acute nutritional problems and a situation of malnutrition among children have arisen. Addressing the media, he said according to the survey reports received, getting food and the supply of food is getting increasingly difficult. He said if the issue of nutrition is not resolved properly, the future generation will suffer from malnutrition. Therefore, the GMOA requests the Health Ministry to look at the said issue in a responsible manner. That ends Watchlight. Headlines of the world news. Russia promises Belarus nuclear-capable missiles. Joe Biden signs into law landmark gun control bill. Frozen baby mammoth discovered in Yukon excites Canada. Russia will send nuclear-capable short-range missile systems to its ally Belarus in the coming months, President Vladimir Putin has said. He said, these systems can fire ballistic and cruise missiles, both conventional and nuclear types. The systems have a range of up to 500 kilometers. Tensions between Russia and the West have escalated following President Putin's decision to invade Ukraine on 24th February. Mr. Putin has made several references to nuclear weapons since then, which some have interpreted as a warning to Western countries not to intervene. Speaking in St. Petersburg, Mr. Putin said Russia would help to modify Belarusian Su-25 warplanes so that they could carry nuclear weapons in response to a query from Mr. Lukashenko. The most significant U.S. gun control bill in nearly 30 years has been signed into law by President Joe Biden. It imposes tougher checks on young buyers and encourages states to remove guns from people considered a threat. Congress approved the legislation with bipartisan support this week following a spate of mass shootings. In May, shootings at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, and a primary school in Uvalde, Texas, left a total of 31 people dead. As he signed the legislation on Saturday, Mr. Biden said relatives of the victims expected the U.S. government to do something. Well, today we did, he added. The whole baby woolly mammoth has been found frozen in the permafrost of northwestern Canada, the first such discovery in North America. The mummified Ice Age mammoth is thought to be more than 30,000 years old. It was found by gold miners in Yukon's Klondike region on Tuesday. The area of the find belongs to the Tlondike First Nation. The Yukon government compared it to Russia's discovery of a baby mammoth in the permafrost of Siberia in 2007. It said it was the most complete mummified mammoth found in North America and only the second such find in the world. To end the world news, the headlines again. Russia promises Belarus nuclear-capable missiles. Joe Biden signs into law landmark gun control bill. Frozen baby mammoth discovered in Yukon excites Canada. That ends the world news. And now we take a look at the development news. The Ministry of Transport has implemented a program to promote push bicycles as a solution to the current fuel crisis in the country. The ministry is also expected to promote the use of push bicycles for school children in out of Colombo and the people who arrive at the railway stations from their homes to reach Colombo. Measures will also be taken to introduce new lanes for the safety of the cyclists. That ends the development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
And on sports news, Olympic gold medalist Sydney McLaughlin broke her own 400-meter hurdles world record at the U.S. Championships in Eugene, Oregon in Saturday. McLaughlin, 22, knocked 5 hundredths of a second off the 51.46 second mark she set in at the Tokyo Olympics last year, winning the final in 51.41. The victory earned her a place at July's World Championships at the same venue. In 2019 in Doha, she finished second to fellow American Delilah Muhammad, who missed the U.S. trials through injury. Britton Wilson finished 1.67 seconds back in second, and Shamia Little took third, with the top three qualifying for the World Championships. That ends the sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sampath Cards has partnered with Q supermarkets for the first time in Sri Lanka to introduce a new method of redeeming rewards points for Sampath card holders while making the rewards points redemption process a little more convenient. This redemption option allows credit card holders to settle their grocery bills while paying for them instantly right over the counter at any Q store island-wide. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic News, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on the economic news, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia, Dewi Gustina Tobing, says that negotiations on the Indonesia-Sri Lanka preferential trade agreement will begin soon as both countries see the enormous potential to boost bilateral trade. She was speaking on the sidelines of a bilateral trade forum organized by the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka in Colombo last week. Referring to a timeline, Tobing said discussion on the PTA hopefully will start this year as both countries have shown great eagerness on the trade agreement. Trade between Sri Lanka and Indonesia has been in favor of Indonesia, with the value of trade between both countries being around $473 million in 2021. Sri Lanka's exports were around $53 million, while imports from Indonesia were at $420 million. Indonesia was the ninth export destination of Sri Lanka in the same year, with fabrics accounting for around 26.4% of the total exports to the East Asian nation. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And finally, taking a look at the weather report, showers or thundershowers will occur at times in Sabaragamu province and in Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Madura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in western and northwestern provinces. Fairly strong winds, about 50 km per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north-central and northwestern provinces, and in Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this afternoon's bulletin of news, the headlines again. A high-level delegation representing the United States Department of the Treasury and the Department of State has arrived in Sri Lanka. PMB brand rice from the Paddy Marketing Board will be released to the market from tomorrow. The Litro Gas Company says 2 gas ships will arrive in the country by the first week of the next month. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation announced that it has increased fuel prices. Schools will reopen from tomorrow. The Department of Registration of Persons will issue digital ID cards to all Sri Lankan citizens under 15 years in the near future. In news overseas, Russia promises Belarus nuclear-capable missiles. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.